Eric, are you good in spaces? Maybe nobody can hear me. Eric, can you hear me in the space?
Hey guys, can anyone tell me if they can listen
I
to
can't
me
hear you
with
in,
a
in
thumbs
Zoom,
up?
Eric. I think you're muted.
Anyone? No. Anyone. Okay, can anyone tell me again if you can hear me? Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot.
All right. Something something was possibly glitching. Can you guys hear me now? Eric, can you hear me? All right. Are we good now? Eric, can you hear me? If you guys can hear me, thumbs up in the space. I can't hear Eric. Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with spaces. I had to leave and reconnect, so I thought it was going to end the space, but I guess it didn't. We are finally back. Welcome everybody. I'm like so close to just not wanting to do spaces anymore and just focus on YouTube live streaming because it's so much better. Um, but this is where the people are at, so we got to work with X's glitches. Um, Fortunately, I'm used to working with glitches, as I'm sure all of you are. So welcome to the INLEO AMA. Mitch, I don't know where Mitch is. He mentioned something to me last week, um, but then I didn't hear from him. So I decided to postpone it a little bit and give him a chance to get back to his computer, but I haven't heard from him. So we've got Eric co-hosting with me. Um, and we will roll on with the AMA. Um, A couple of you guys are saying there's no sound in the threadcast. But Eric, you can still hear me, right?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Yes. Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so I don't know if other people are glitching, but the way it fixed it for me, so some people can hear me and some people can't. The way it fixed it for me was to leave and come back. So I'm gonna type that in the threadcast. Can't hear me. Leave the space and join again. All right. So while we get all that sorted, or alternatively, you could go listen on YouTube. I'll say that too. Um, we are live in all the places, and Threadcast is going. I'm going to get the announcements up. But we got a couple of things to go through in this AMA. So I mentioned there's two major announcements. We'll get to those throughout the show. But the first thing I wanted to do was actually kind of tap Eric because we were going to do, well, we are going to start doing this every Monday, but we've just had some crazy, crazy weeks. But every Monday, we're going to start doing a kind of like a review of the numbers for INLEO, looking at like KPIs and things related to premium, overall activity on the user base, and the platform. So we're going to start doing that every Monday, pulling data from SQL and other places to review it. But since we missed this Monday, Eric, do you want to do like, we can kind of do like a little bit of a walkthrough of some of the data. So do you want to start with let's start with like monthly active user KPI data. If you want to pull that up and just kind of we can walk through it the way we would for the Monday show. And just do like kind of a quick little walkthrough of it. And then maybe throw out the numbers and then we can kind of like discuss them a little bit and talk about what's happening, what we're doing, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So this is the last month that we cannot really compare it to
Sorry to
last
interrupt you.
year.
Sorry
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
interrupt you. I think you're muted on the Zoom, I think. Can you try talking?
Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, you're muted on the Zoom. Can you check your mic there just so that we get the YouTube?
Hey, hey, hey.
Still
Can
can't
you
hear
hear me
you.
now?
Nope.
Okay, speaker. Muting. Hi, test. That's weird because it shows to me that I am speaking on Zoom.
Um, Definitely can't hear you on the Zoom. If you guys are listening to YouTube, can you hear Eric? I'm gonna go to the YouTube. All right, try talking again. Definitely
Hey,
can't hear you on
hey.
Zoom. If
Can
you
you
guys
hear
are
me?
listening to
People on Zoom, people on YouTube, people on the live stream. Can anyone hear
try
me?
talking again. Definitely
Hey,
can't hear
hey.
you.
Can you hear me? People on Zoom?
Okay, now you're good.
Okay,
All right,
perfect.
cool. All right, sorry, continue.
Yeah, that was so weird. We need
So many
an
issues.
everything app that connects everything in just one single yeah. So basically January 2024 is the last month that we are not able to compare to 2023. Why? Because the UI, the new UI, the INLEO UI was launched on February 2023. So if we compare the numbers from 2024 to 2023, they are going to be very skewed because we didn't have threads the same way that we have them right now. And, activity is completely different. So but on February, we're going to be able to actually measure how much we have grown with the same UI. So I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, we have 1,504 monthly active users as of January 31st. That's a little bit of a drop, around a 5% drop, maybe, from the 1,650 peak we had on September. So September through December, we had more than 1,600. The difference here is that we didn't have a daily campaign, and all of these numbers are, you could call them organic, so to speak. So I was actually expecting a rougher drop in monthly active users, which was not the case. We have kind of plateaued in the sense that it's been 5 months since we are around 1,600, but I'm really expecting that we break around 1,800 for February, especially with what we have in store. Threads is going a little bit lower at 1,107 monthly active threaders. And the highlight of the numbers in January was that we had 850 long form content creators versus the 780 from December. And the thing that we have to note from content creators in general is that we've been on an uptrend over the past, since May. As you remember, at the beginning of the year, we didn't have a lot of long-form users because the UI was a little bit glitchy. But since we started working on that, we've gone from 450 to 550, then 630, 730, 780, and now 850. So it's a record-breaking month by around 10%. And in commenters, which are, I like to call them content consumers, we are at 410. So it's pretty on par with the past 5 months since September, September was the month where we went from 1,300 to 1,600 users. So that was kind of the peak, but we haven't shrinked since then. We are maintaining ourselves around there. And the thing that strikes me the most is that if you see the charts, which I'm actually going to share right now on Threads, the trend that we can see is very, very positive. It's just like you would see on a market chart, but with users. So we are experiencing a little bit of plateaus, but the trend keeps going up. We will see what happens in February. If February goes as expected, we should see a big growth. Comcast. Oh, I just searched for your username as the Twitter username.
Yeah, one thing I just dropped in the Threadcast too is the monthly active content creators. So that's the people making long form blog posts on the UI has grown pretty significantly. So, back in like March, April, we were really low. And then May obviously is when the new UI went live. And we're basically almost a 3x from where we were back then. So definitely good to see more bloggers getting on the INLEO UI to create long form. And a lot of that has to do with, smoothing out the experience of the published page and all that stuff too. So getting that ironed out is really important. I know people were having a lot of issues with it before.
Yeah, but also, you know what? I have seen a lot of people tell me on comments or on Threads that they didn't even know that they composed on any community from INLEO. They keep believing that INLEO is a finance-focused community. I think that's my bad. That's on me. That by now everyone in Hive should know that INLEO works exactly as any other front end, and you can post on any other, like every community on Hive. And the upside of this is that, as you mentioned in the past AMA, or was it in the Friday space? I can't remember, but that people can earn Leo, earn ad revenue, everyone rewards, and they are basically helping the Hive ecosystem get capital from the outside into the Hive ecosystem. So it works very much like any other front end, but I would dare to say that there are a ton more benefits for posting from INLEO than from other front ends. So we need to spread that message. And it's actually what we've been trying to do over the past week and a half. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, changing that perspective, it's funny because we spent so long building up kind of a more niche community and ecosystem around, obviously like crypto finance and the community that we built with Leo Finance. But, that obviously with INLEO, everything kind of evolved and we moved toward a broader vision of what this platform could be, which is, an everything app where you've got long form and short form kind of mixed together and merged together. And then, when we rebranded from Leo Finance to INLEO, that was kind of like the big moment of like, okay, it doesn't just have to be crypto and finance anymore. And that should be clear. But obviously to unwind years of training the Hive community about what we were about, that's going to take some time and a lot of effort. Both from us as a team and also from you guys as a community. I mean, if you talk at the end of the day, the best marketing is word of mouth. So if you're talking to people on Hive and, describing INLEO and anything related to it, then, just keep in mind that a lot of these people don't read the regular updates. They're not in these AMAs. They don't know what's going on with the platform and with the status of everything. So, it's definitely important to kind of reteach everybody what INLEO is about. Yeah, let's as a community kind of come together and really focus on how we can make that work in our favor, because we're at 800, what was it, like 850 long form content creators on INLEO. There's a lot more out there to capture in the Hive community. I mean, but like I said, we're already 3x from where we were when the UI launched, or nearly 3x. So that's definitely good to see. I was happy when I saw that number. But I definitely want to see that number grow. I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be a few thousand, especially with the change that was made almost 2 weeks ago now. And we did that live stream to talk about it. But now, in order to earn Leo, you actually have to use the UI. You can't just use the hashtag Leo or Leo Finance to earn Leo tokens. So, I think it's essentially a no-brainer. And I think as the Leo token, ecosystem grows and the economy grows and performs well, that's only going to get more and more obvious to people on Hive. Is like, I can use other UIs to post my blog posts, or I can use INLEO and earn Hive and Leo tokens the same way I would on any other front end. But now Leo is a whole new ball game where I can earn a whole other rewards pool that's out there. And that, in addition to being curated by Leo.voter and everything related to that. So yeah, I think it's definitely cool to see that metric grow. Like Eric was saying, we've got, without the Zeely campaign, we really only dropped like 110 monthly active users. So that's pretty much like 110 people who were probably only around for Zeely, which is definitely good. I would have expected a much larger drop from not doing a Zeely in January. So yeah, we've seen a little bit of a drop in the people that are threading. Not a huge drop, but again, probably related to not having the Zeely in January. So, I think, and Eric and I talked about this a few times, with the Zeely campaigns, you kind of create like this huge spike in activity. But then the goal afterwards is like, how much of that spike can you retain? Because you're not going to retain 100% of it. So it's not like you're going to spike up and then just keep going, unless you just like keep doing campaign after campaign after campaign. But as soon as the campaign ends, whether you do it for a month or 6 months in a row, whenever it ends, you're obviously going to have a dip. And, it's like, I mean, the best analogy I've got is like when, the price of a crypto goes up, like if, Bitcoin goes up to 60K, it's obviously not going to just go up to 60K and sit there. Like it's most likely going to go to 60K and then it'll kind of like, it has like that moonshot and then it'll taper off a little bit, probably come back down to like, 50K or whatever, 55K. And it kind of finds like an equilibrium. So, we've kind of found our equilibrium after the Zealy campaign. And I think Eric and I were both surprised at, how high that equilibrium was. We have a really good retention rate. So I'm pretty happy with that as well. So happy with the amount of long form creators that have been growing, by pretty much over 100 per month, 100 unique accounts per month. The commenting has been growing a little bit too, commenting on long form. So we're up almost 2x from May when the UI launched. So that was good to see. That's pretty much it on the main KPIs. Those were the main things that stuck out to me. Anything else that stuck out to you, Eric?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the drop in users wasn't that much. I'm willing to say that I don't have the data because it's kind of hard to pull that out, but I think that the drop in users after the campaigns was not that much because of the retention rate, not because there weren't enough people joining the Zealy campaigns, because there were, at one point, we had 300 people active at the same time. So out of those, 200 stayed, or maybe they were already users. But I mean, we only lost 100 users, and they will eventually come back once they find out about all of the perks that has to post from INLEO. Some people have mentioned that they want a mobile app. That's a never-ending story. I don't think we're ever gonna get one, but in general, I do like how we I think it was a 7% drop, which is nothing compared to how much we spent in marketing in October, November, December, compared to what we spent in January. And it also allows us to pivot on what works and what doesn't. And regarding the DHS funds, I think it's very, very on point to mention that we have not really spent a lot of money yet. All of the marketing that you have seen right now or until today has been very, very little compared to what we have in plans for the future. We are just testing right now what works and what doesn't. So I'm really excited of what we can actually achieve when we put in the big numbers in terms of money and investment.
Yeah, and that's something we've talked about a lot with, especially when we were doing the main campaigning for when the DHF proposal went live, is that we were going to, spend a little bit of money, test how things went, look at what worked and what didn't, come back to the drawing board and keep retrying, different things and find ways to grow. So, and that's part of the reason why actually the way it's laid out is that, the start of the campaign was that we would probably end up spending more money for each monthly active user than towards the end of the campaign. Like it would get cheaper per acquisition of a new user. Part of the reason for that is that, we get better, we get more efficient. We find what's really working and what isn't. And we cut out the things that aren't working. So we're kind of in that like early campaign stage of like, okay, we're going to spend, $100 here, $1,000 here. How many users did we get? How far did that dollar go in terms of actually onboarding somebody? And then, we sit back, look at all these numbers and we say, okay, what's, how is all of this going and, what's wrong and right about the approach? So I'm happy with how things have progressed on that end. I think there is more that we can do in terms of onboarding, say influencers and stuff like that, and getting people to use Threadcast more. Threadcasts have gotten really smooth lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we had a little period of time where they were kind of breaking down and a lot of it had to do with just the activity and trying to scale. But we made a lot of improvements, now that the Leo node is out, we've made significant improvements in terms of scaling. So Threadcasts have been working pretty flawlessly for me. I know that there's the occasional bug for some people. Like for some reason, certain people, and I don't know why it's only some people and not others, get like double threads when they're in a thread cast. I know some of you guys always say that every AMA. And we've still been trying to figure out exactly why. So it's a very small percentage of people that have that problem. And so there's little bugs like that that we're always working through, like the edge cases. But I'd say like the majority of the big bugs have been fixed in terms of thread casts. And I've got, a couple really cool features on the roadmap for Threadcast as well, like embedding the YouTube video in the bottom right and stuff like that. So especially on a day like today when the space isn't really working, that would be nice to have. So we've got some cool things coming on that front. And I think Threadcasts are a really good way to onboard people. I've realized that we've kind of met like a killer use case with Threadcasts, especially being that Spaces, and I think this is why it's a really good time right now, because I have a feeling that X is eventually going to figure out that they need to do something about this. But right now, Spaces doesn't really have like a good real-time chat room. So we have like a really good opportunity to build up a use case for Threadcasts while X Spaces doesn't have this. So we've got a unique opportunity right now to really go after some influencers and get them to use Threadcasts. And even when, provided that we can gain a little bit of traction initially, even once X comes out with some sort of real-time chatting, they won't have the monetization and other features that INLEO has. So we're still building a unique use case for Threadcasts, but there's an opportunity right now where there's nothing even close to competing with what we've built. So I really think it's a good time to focus in on that. A big focus for February, and I'm not going to get too much into the roadmap right now, but a big focus for February is improving the onboarding protocol and just overall making the UI a lot more user-friendly, making sure that I think the updates to production are actually going to slow down. And I mentioned this in a thread, I think about a week ago. The updates to production are going to slow down a little bit. We may start doing, once a week or once a month, or maybe once every other week, pushing from labs to production. And I know this is something that Eric and I have talked about, and other people have talked about it as well. Slowing down the process of getting from labs to production, because we want the production UI to be like, for the outside user, the regular person that just wants to use the interface and not worry about bugs and not have, a shitty experience. The labs UI is meant for the people that want to play with the new features early. They want early access to things. And that's what labs is all about. One of the reasons why I have pushed against doing that, and why we are constantly kind of like pushing labs to production really quickly, is because we don't have enough people on labs. So we need more of you guys, the hardcore Leo Lions, who, understand that there's going to be bugs, understand that new features are going to have issues. We need you guys using labs so that we can test and fix things before they make it to production. So that's like a really important function that you guys can play in the development process. And I know I keep doing the PSAs every single week, talking about, using the thread, the hashtag feedback in your threads, and explaining issues and providing details so that we can fix them on labs before they get to production. I'd say that's one of the core issues in our development process right now, is just that we need more people testing and providing feedback on labs so that we can like essentially just iron things off a lot faster before they get to production. So it would actually speed up you guys always ask when new features. If you want to do more than just ask, if you want to actually play a role in getting new features faster, it's like Morty just said, let's break labs so the devs can fix it. That's exactly the approach that we're looking for. If you guys want new features faster, if you want bugs fixed faster, the best way to do it is to try to find the bugs in labs, and then let us fix them quickly so that we can keep pushing for new features. Because otherwise we're sitting around trying to figure out, why did one person have this problem but another person didn't? We're not going off of enough feedback right now. I'd say we need to at least 2 to 5x the amount of feedback that we get on labs right now, if we want to speed up the process of pushing out new features. So Eric, let's move on to we covered like the main KPIs. Let's talk a little bit about premium. So you built this really incredible spreadsheet tool for us where we can now track every user who's premium, and we can see how much rewards they're earning on their blog posts, and we can also see how much they're earning from us on their blog posts specifically. So from Leo.voter. And something I've talked about is that I want premium to pay for itself. I want that to be kind of a function of premium. So when you're a premium user on INLEO, you obviously get all those exclusive features. And we'll talk about one of the new ones that's about to drop, which is the dashboard, the advanced view of the dashboard, which is for premium only. So you get all those features, but then you also, I want it to be that, you get more curation and you earn more rewards so that premium you can kind of keep rolling into premium every single month off of your earnings. And it's not just earnings in terms of the Leo token, but like Hive reward earnings. And that obviously comes from Leo.voter. So, there's a couple key things to that. And the first disclaimer that I have, because I know this is going to be like the number one critical point that people have, is that there are still content quality standards. So you can't just like post a letter as a blog, like one letter, just put like a in a blog post and publish it and think that your premium is going to pay for itself because we'll curate that. That's not how it works. You still have to meet the curation, guidelines that we have of having good quality content. But then once you do, you can get curated. And if you are not premium and you meet those standards, you still will get curated. But if you are premium and you meet those standards, you'll get curated much more highly. Like the voting power percentage we use is much higher. And in addition to that, we have this spreadsheet now where we can see how much you're earning and make sure that your premium actually pays for itself. So our goal is that the average premium user makes at least bare minimum $20 worth of upvotes from Leo.voter worth of Hive upvotes. So that would mean that you're making 2x the cost of premium every single month, provided you are a premium user, and also that you're creating decent content. So Eric, do you want to describe any more of that process and workflow?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I have been telling people, well, lions that use INLEO or hold Leo tokens or want to see the platform thrive, to only vote from INLEO and to focus on those who publish using INLEO. One, because that means their Leo tokens that they allocate, for example, if they distribute 15 cents from their Hive vote and 20 cents from their Leo vote, if the post wasn't published from INLEO, those 20 cents worth of Leo tokens will not be distributed. So you will not be using your Leo power as efficiently as you will be using your Hive power. And the other one is, yes, the one of the focus of having premium is that you get more eyes, more visibility, and that means more people see your content, and potentially you get more votes in general. Yes, you get a push from LeoVoter to get more rewards so that you can say that your premium membership pays for itself through the content you create. But also because there's going to be one day or at one point where the community is going to have to support each other. And this is not about supporting only people who use INLEO. It's about supporting platforms that allow the Hive ecosystem to receive outside capital. I cannot stress this enough. The more money that comes to the Hive ecosystem and to the Leo ecosystem through outside money, the better. That means we are not using the money within the ecosystem to support the ecosystem. We are using outside money. That's how Web2 works. That's how traditional finance works. And that's exactly how we are going to create the flywheel so that the price of the Leo token keeps going up by putting in outside money into the ecosystem. So just try to support people who support INLEO. If INLEO grows, the Hive ecosystem grows. It's very simple. So while we work in making the platform bugless, with better features, with more users, while we work on marketing and making the user experience better, you can help us as community members to retain those users, and so those users get more money for their interactions. We have seen that every single person that has premium is getting at least $30 in return. So it's a no-brainer. Anyone who gets premium is not putting money from their pocket, is putting money from the ecosystem into generating a Leo/Hive liquidity pool. So even those people who are using premium and who are spending money, they are helping the Hive ecosystem in general, and obviously the INLEO platform by doing so. So it's just, if you look at it from the like from a wider angle, everything that we do and everything that you do in Leo is setting up the stones or the steps for for a positive snowball over the next 2 years. And we all know what's going to happen in the next 2 years. So this is just preparing ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. I keep talking about the flywheel and getting to 1,000 premiums being the, number one focus right now for the whole team. So whether you look at the dev team or, the marketing team, we're all aligned in let's get to 1,000 premiums and get this flywheel really started. So you see that, you know, the ability to kind of scale up improves, and that reward, that liquidity pool that is being built, from the, premium subscriptions is really important. So, a lot of you guys know that like X, for example, has, premium, and they're collecting revenue, obviously, as a company to try to get revenue positive. The difference with, something like Web2, which is X, and something like, Web3, which is us, is that 100% of the premium subscription revenue is buying Leo and buying Hive off the market, pooling it together, and then deploying it as permanent liquidity in a liquidity pool. Right now, we're doing that on BSC, and then we'll get that pool to a certain substantial size, and then we may then go and say, okay, we're going to build the pool on Ethereum. We're going to build up that pool. So then the monthly revenue shifts to, it's still buying Leo and Hive, but then it's building up the liquidity pool for Leo and Hive on Ethereum. So there's going to be a lot of interesting effects that come from that. Right now, premium is earning something around, $2,000 a month, roughly. So it's buying $1,000 worth of Leo, $1,000 worth of Hive every single month, and then pooling it permanently. So, creating that deep liquidity is extremely important, for the long-term health of the ecosystem. And I've written like 7 blog posts in the last month talking about it. So if you want to dive into the details, feel free to go through that. I saw that we had AWF join us in the spaces. So I heard about some of his bugs with getting onboarded. So and I mentioned this earlier that one of the things we're focused on this month is really ironing out that process. So our user base continues to grow and we continue to get new users, but this platform is literally, if you look at the current platform in terms of like, this is the UI, it started on May 1st of 2023. So it's only been, 7 or 8 months of development. But if you go back to May 1st, it looks pretty much unrecognizable to how we look now. So definitely focused on improving that experience overall, and getting, making that onboarding, making the feeling of getting onboarded really easy, like as if it was as easy as X. So that's a huge focus this month. So let's talk about, because I see people getting restless about LeoAds. So the first LeoAds payment went out on the 18th. So it was only, like 2 weeks ago. And, after the first payment, obviously I jokingly said, and it's honestly very true, that the best way to piss people off is to give away free money. So, doing the first LeoAds payment created a whole litany of questions and issues and concerns about the way that it all worked. And, there was a blog post in the docs that talked about how it all worked. Obviously, I think 90% of people didn't read them. So, a lot of questions were already answered in there, but there were actually some good questions and concerns and, pieces of feedback that I pulled from, a lot of the things I heard, related to the LeoAds payout. So I did look into making a few changes to the way it all works. So, one change, yeah. Bitcoin Flood just posted a GIF. He said Leo ads, and then it's a GIF of everyone grabbing their pitchforks. Yeah, Leo ads has been the greatest way for me to piss people off by giving away free money. So where was I? So I took some of the good feedback that I saw and the constructive criticism, and we made a few changes to Leo ads. So we're updating the contract a little bit right now to implement those changes. So one of the first changes you're going to see is that in the prior contract, there was a little bit more randomization to how we determined user activity. So we've kind of flattened that curve a little bit, and Addicted put it in a great way that we grade on a curve. So, the level of activity you need can change from month to month, at the discretion of the contract, at the discretion of us, based on what we see. So, if we see that people are like skating by with very little activity and getting the Leo ads payouts, then we may, make changes to this. But we flattened the curve a little bit, and it's a little bit more understandable now how much activity you actually need, but there is still a little bit of randomization to it. So don't think that you can just like do the bare minimum and get by. That's the whole point of randomization, which I know that some people have their issues with that because they want to know, okay, exactly how many threads and how many upvotes do I need to do in order to get the payout? That's the main question I saw. And the answer is you don't know, I don't know. But if you make a few threads, maybe you make one blog post and you upvote some content each month, you're going to get the Leo ads payout. You could probably do it in under 5 minutes every single month. So if you do like 5 minutes of activity every month, you're going to be able to get the Leo ads payout. But if you're trying to skate by and do the bare minimum of what's required and know the minimums, you're not going to be able to get the payout, by doing that. So a few minutes of activity a month and you'll be just fine. So I'll say this. If you create, and this, I'm just going to set this as the minimum bar. If you create one blog post, 5 threads, and upvote some number of threads and blog posts every month, even just a few, it's not like you have to upvote 100, you'll get Leo ads payouts every single month. So yeah, even Ahmad Manga just said, how much activity do we need? Does it change from month to month? Yeah, so like I just said, if you make a few threads a month, if you upvote a few threads and blog posts a month, you're going to get the Leo ads payout. If you want the exact numbers behind that, we're not going to give them to you. We don't even know the exact numbers. It will change month to month because as the activity grows, it may require that you be a little bit more active. So, and it's like I said, it's D-Kid just said 5 minutes is way too much. LOL. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like people complain about the most minimum, like it's crazy. So anyways, we flattened the curve a little bit. Yeah, Cal's making it too easy. Yeah, I mean, we could have made it a lot harder. Like we could have said, okay, you need to make, 50 threads a month and you have to make 10 blog posts and you have to contribute to evergreen rewards. And you know what I mean? Like it could be a lot harder. We made it pretty easy. Tap Special said 10 blog posts and 1,000 threads. Anything less than go to X, you fools. Yeah, I mean, it's like, if you make 5 threads and upvote a few people, you're going to be fine. So that is all I have to say about the minimum bar. So we made a few changes there. And the other big change, and I'll share a screenshot here. The other big change is that I've been working on getting threads added to the Evergreen contract. I know a couple people said, it didn't make sense why threads weren't in there. The initial thinking was that, yeah, even more T just asked about it. The initial thinking was that threads, we looked at the average view of a thread and they're in like this single digit. They're like low single digits. Like the average thread gets like 5 views. And then there are some threads at the other end of the spectrum that like, this Threadcast, for example, it's already at 100 views. it'll probably easily get over 200 views, which is the minimum bar for evergreen rewards. So the thinking was that threads weren't ready yet for evergreen rewards, but that we would add them later. So the contract is actually built in a way where threads can be added to it. But you know, the initial thinking was that there were only going to be like a few threads a month that would actually make it over that bar. But there are some people doing interesting things, and I know Taskmaster pointed it out. You know, with music on Leo, and a few other projects like Leo Books, where there are some interesting things that people are doing with threads that generate long-term views for evergreen rewards. So we are going to start indexing threads, and the contract is already indexing them. So if you're looking for, you know, one of the reasons we delayed the ads payout a little bit, it's to make a few of these updates to it. So this is something that's brand new. The first payout was 2 weeks ago. So, you know, bear with us while we, you know, continue to build this stuff. And, you know, similar, you know, kind of inspired by Taskmaster's thread, you know, if you don't want to be on the bleeding edge of a platform and you want to use something that's super smooth, super easy, has no issues, but also has little upside, then go to X, go to Facebook, go to Instagram. Those things are very polished. They've been around for over a decade, very easy to use, but they also don't have the upside that using Leo does, because, you know, we're building all this stuff. You guys are earning Leo for doing everything. And, you know, if we're successful in our, you know, 10-year mission of building this platform, then, you know, Leo is going to be a good thing to have. So that is my small rant on all of the things. So LeoAds is going to be soon, but we're going to make a few changes. That's the TLDR. As May said, when Leo Shorts or Leo Reels. Yeah, we're still working on that. We and Brando, I just talked about it for 10 minutes. No, it was not paid on the first. We are still working on it. So bear with us. Bear with us for a few days. So Leo Shorts, we're still working on it, but like I said, you know, we've been trying to integrate it with 3Speak. So we will have some updates for that soon. Just looking through the threadcast a little bit. So we covered that. Let's talk about the changes to Leo.voter. So these changes are possibly another thing that's going to get met with a lot of questions, as most do. But we are adding tiers to delegating Hive power to Leo.voter. So if you guys know, right now, if you delegate Hive power to Leo.voter, you earn about 15-16% APR on your Hive power, and it's paid out as liquid Leo every single day. With the new premium flywheel that we're building, you know, we talked about that new spreadsheet. We talked about how our goal is every premium user makes at least $20 worth of Hive upvotes from Leo.voter every single month of their premium, so that it, you know, premium pays for itself. And like Eric said, it's actually higher. Like the average is right around $30 right now. So $20 is just like our bare minimum target. But, you know, I saw one user had like $60 in rewards for the month. So it's in that range, and that's just like the minimum target. So, you know, being that that is part of the goal, and also the goal is getting to 1,000 premiums, we have to grow the Hive power that Leo.voter controls via delegations. So growing Leo.voter in terms of how much Hive power it has is extremely important in the, you know, premium 1,000 goal. And you know, what we came up with in order to grow the Hive, because we're at like 2.2 million Hive power on Leo.voter right now. And our goal, you know, I kind of set out that the goal is to get to 5 million. And then once we get to 5, I want to push for 10. But the goal in the immediate, you know, near term future is let's get to 5 million Hive power. So about a 2x in terms of what's delegated to Leo.voter. So anyways, we built these tiers, and the goal is, you know, let's get more delegators, but also let's make sure that the delegators that are earning more rewards have a, you know, have certain parameters. So our goal is that the people earning more rewards will, you know, earn those rewards as staked. And if you are unstaking rewards every month, then your APR will drop back down to the lower tier. So it's kind of an interesting balancing act of like, if you're, a long-term Leo holder, then you can earn a higher APR on your delegation. If you are a net Leo seller, then you'll earn the lower tier APR, which is still better than what you'll get pretty much anywhere else on Hive, right around 13%. But that being said, if you are a long-term Leo holder, then you'll be able to earn up to 22% at the highest tier. So I'm gonna drop the big announcement for today. Let me pull it up here. So we've released the dashboard on Labs. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for the dashboard. It is now live and ready for you guys to use. I have a few things to say before I give you the link. One, there's a reason we haven't added it to the menu, and that's because it's not done yet, but I wanted to have it ready for at least this delegation part. Two, none of the data actually works, so it's all placeholder data except for the delegation data. Everything related to delegations is live and works. So you can see like your current delegation and you can see your expected payout. The only thing is the tiers on the back end, so the actual payment of the tiers is not live yet. So one of the devs is still working on the payout mechanism of it. So as of right now, the tiers are not live in terms of payouts, but you can basically get ready for the tiers by using the dashboard, and you can update your tier so that when it is ready, which will probably be, I mean, it could even be tonight. I just have to talk to the dev a little bit more. We're kind of on the last legs of the back end script that we're writing to handle the bounties airdrops every day. So it could be tonight, could be tomorrow, could be, Thursday or Friday. I don't know. It's going to be sometime within the next few days. But if you want to get ready for it, we've put the dashboard live so that you guys can change your tier and you can view your tier. So if you're delegating to Leo.voter and you go to the dashboard, I'm about to drop the link, go to the dashboard and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. And you'll see all the data it's under the section called delegate and earn. And you'll see all the data. You can see your current delegation. You can see the current APR that you're earning at. And like I said, the actual payouts for that are coming soon. So you can update your APR to the higher tiers, but that being said, it's not going to be paying you at that tier until the backend is live. And I'll announce when the backend's live with a blog post. You can see your expected payout. And then there's two buttons at the bottom that say switch to liquid and switch to staked. So if you are currently liquid, which is the default, you can, the button for switch to staked will be lit up. And if you click that, it'll open a little transaction. You send a small transaction to Leo.voter with a certain memo. So it's already all pre-filled. You just click the button and then you hit confirm. And then if you switch to staked, your APR will increase 7%. If you're premium and you switch to staked, your APR will be 22%. So the highest tier is 22%. And in order to be at that tier, you have to choose staked and you have to be premium. So that is the highest tier. And I'll mention more details in the blog post, but there are going to be these tiers are subject to change. We are going to reserve the right to change these tiers as in the next couple of days and weeks as we kind of see how things play out. So just keep that in mind. It's not necessarily set in stone, but the highest tier will be 20 to 22%. So just that's not changing. But there may be some rules and stipulations surrounding it. Like I said, one of the things we've implemented is that if you're a net seller, so if you're powering down Leo, your tier will drop back down to tier 1, which is just the normal liquid payouts, which is still the same as the current APR. So essentially, if you're just earning Leo and selling it, nothing actually changes. But if you're earning Leo and you're staking it and you're earning it as staked and you're not powering down, then you'll earn at the highest tier. So I will drop the link now. One Alpha, I just said I'll drop the link as soon as I explained all the little stipulations I have, because like I said, all the data is placeholder except for the Leo.voter at the bottom. So go to the link. I just dropped it. And then scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll be able to see the delegation data. So you obviously also have to be logged into Labs. Keep in mind, there could be bugs. This is on Labs. It was literally just released right now. Um, and then what else do I have to say about it? We are going to add. I saw Lukiel just asked how to delegate to Leo.voter. The dev is working on adding a button to this dashboard where you'll actually be able to delegate from it too, or update your existing delegation. So if you want to delegate right now, you can delegate Hive power to Leo.voter by using, like Hive keychain or something. All you have to do is just delegate as you would with anything else. But the button will be on the dashboard before it goes like officially live. So I'm giving you guys just like a little head start if you want to go to the dashboard, and you can switch to staked and earn the higher APR. So go have fun with that. I'll share a screenshot too, just so you can see it. But yeah, I'm excited about tiers. I think with the tiers, we'll be able to increase. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get to 5 million Hive power on Leo.voter relatively quickly. And then, obviously the next stop will be getting to 10 million Bitcoin flood. Yeah, I'm glad you like that. Oh, that's cool. So it's cool to see because Bitcoin flood actually has a big delegation. So you can see he's delegating. He just dropped a screenshot. He's also on light mode, and I actually haven't even seen it on light mode. It actually looks pretty good. It reminds me of summer.fi, which used to be Oasis app. It kind of looks similar to that, but I usually use dark mode. Both actually look pretty good though. So he's delegating 60,000 Hive power right now, and you can see he's at the current APR. And with that APR, he's earning close to 100 Leo a day, which is around 3,000 Leo a month. And then if he switches to staked, he'll see his APR actually increase. He can earn up to 22%. If he switches to stake, then I know that he's premium. So the other stipulation being like if he's powered down Leo within the last 3 months, then he won't be, his tier will drop back down to tier 1. So there is that stipulation. And the reason for that is like, if you're a long-term holder and not a net seller of Leo, you should be able to earn more. But if you are a net seller and a short-term holder, then you earn less. And it's just kind of like a obvious economic thing. So that's cool to see. I do also really like the expected payout thing. Like there's never been like a way to actually see that expected payout. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I think a lot of other people will as well. And there's a lot coming to this dashboard. So yeah, Bitcoin Man, after you switch to stake, there's actually a little text at the bottom of the page. If you look, it says it can take up to an hour to reflect the changes on just on the front end. The back end updates immediately, but the front end can take up to an hour. Kind of like if you have like a DNS and you change something in your DNS servers, it can take some time to reflect. So a lot of that has to do with caching. But yeah, it takes an hour to close to an hour to reflect the changes. So check back in like an hour and it'll update. When will we be able to see our total account worth on INLEO, both Hive, Leo, and HBD? Yeah, actually, the dashboard, if you go to the dashboard link I just shared, you can see the account balance, and that does exactly what you're talking about. But like I said, it's all grayed out right now because we haven't hooked up all the data yet. So I just wanted to get out the Leo.voter dashboard part. So I pushed the devs to get that done. The other stuff will get released soon. You'll be able to see the impressions and other things related to your account. And then if you click the advanced view, it's actually pretty cool. It says ready to go premium, and it asks you to subscribe to premium to see the advanced dashboard. Once we're done with the basic view, hooking up all the data, simple game. The advanced view isn't live yet. So once we're done with the basic view, then we'll release the advanced view. And if you are premium, it'll just take you right to it. If you're not premium, then it will obviously it has that same pop-up for everyone right now, where it tells you that you need to go premium. So another use case to be premium. There's some cool, so here's another announcement. I guess there's a third one. We have integrated, we got a lot of announcements. We've been a busy team these past couple of weeks. Third announcement, and Eric already knows this, but we have integrated half SQL into the Leo node, the Leo full node for Hive. I actually asked around to a bunch of different people, and I have not found a single person that actually has it integrated into their node. So I asked a bunch of people to see, who's actually using it, and apparently nobody's using it. Um, and there's some really cool pieces of data that you can pull from it. So we're going to be using half SQL in our own node. It's actually, I'll share a screenshot. It's actually syncing right now. So once that's done syncing, we'll start hooking things up. Screenshot in a second. Um, so once it's synced, we'll be able to share like really interesting data related to your account. So there's going to be a lot of stuff added to the basic view. Um, and in the advanced view, I've already kind of scoped out the roadmap now that we're integrating this. One of the things that we're going to be releasing is this is just an example of some of the things that will be in the advanced view. And I know Bitcoin Man just said, what does the advanced view do comparing to the standard one? So let me just give you one example. And this is going to be a big one because I use the Hive internal market a lot to transact between Hive and HBD. One thing I've always wished that it had was like some historical view of like, you made this trade of like you traded 100 Hive for 30 HBD or vice versa. And seeing like historical trades, also seeing like a cool, like big number of like over the past year, you've converted, 10,000 HBD for 30,000 Hive or something. So I've wanted to have something like that, and literally nobody has it. So looking at the half SQL protocol, we were able to figure out how to do that. So that's going to be in the advanced view. So that's one thing, for example, that will be in the advanced view is like these really interesting, intricate analytics related to your account. Another thing that will be in the advanced view is, and it won't be there right away, obviously, it'll be there when we release the whole thing, but Leo AI will be integrated into the advanced view of the dashboard. So if you're premium, you'll be able to go to the advanced view and you'll be able to ask Leo AI questions like, if I were to create another 100 threads this month, what would my expected earnings increase to? And it will basically like look through your whole account and it'll say, okay, well, your average thread earns XYZ amount of dollars. So if you made another 100 threads, I expect that you'll earn, this amount of dollars. Or you can ask it, how many blog posts did I make over the last year? Which were my top performing blog posts? Can you give me the links for them? Things like that. So Leo AI is going to get integrated into the advanced view. So a lot of cool stuff in the base. I mean, you guys can see the basic view. There's a lot of cool stuff already there. So just imagine that, but like deeper, kind of my like tagline for it is like personalized analytics in the advanced view. So you'll be able to see a lot more like intricate things related to your account that you wouldn't be able to find elsewhere. So definitely going to be some cool improvements there. One thing I'm excited about is the impressions data. So we're actually working on this right now because it's connected to simple analytics. You'll be able to see the total amount of views that your threads and your blog posts get. So the impressions, kind of like what you see on X. And there's a ton of gamification there. I was actually just like thinking about it the other day that like how interesting is it going to be that like on Hive up until this point, all anyone has ever cared about is like how many, upvotes did I get on my blog posts? Like, what are my rewards there? This creates like a whole new gamification to using Hive. And it allows you to see, okay, and I know Taskmaster's already doing this, and a couple of you are as well. I've shared with you like the raw API link where you can see the total impressions that your threads have gotten. So I know a few of you are kind of like manually tracking this, but in the dashboard, you can see under impressions, you'll be able to see like, okay, I got 1,200 impressions last month. In this month, I want to get, 2,500. I want a 2X. I think it's going to add like a whole new layer of gamification. And when you combine that with evergreen rewards, and by the way, in the advanced view, you'll be able to see your evergreen rewards, your expected evergreen rewards based on your impressions data for the past month. So there's going to be like really cool analytics. And I'm really excited about the dashboard. It's been a huge project. We've been working on it for a few weeks now. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be integrating here. Definitely excited about it.
Speaking of AI, I think it's gonna be a cool feature to be able to ask. I don't even know how we're gonna name it, but to ask the lion, what are the best topics that I have written about that gets more engagement or that gets more activity, more votes, whatever, so that like the AI will be able to analyze what works for your audience and what doesn't, and then you can double down on that one. So you can actually create a strategy for content creation and engagement based on the inputs of the AI.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be really interesting to be able to ask AI about specific things related to your Hive account because the AI can read stuff from the blockchain. I don't actually know of another AI that's like tapped into a blockchain where you can like query it for questions. So I'm definitely curious to see kind of how that use case evolves. It's going to be Leo AI is going to be present on a bunch of different aspects of the UI. So when you're writing a blog post, you'll be able to ask it for help. But there are going to be certain obvious limitations. Like if you ask it to write you a blog post, it won't do it. It'll refuse. So there's going to be certain limitations to obviously AI generated content, or maybe we'll allow it to write you a blog post, but then it'll put a disclaimer on it that'll say it's AI generated. So we're going to do some really interesting stuff with AI. I'm excited. And I've already been using it. And the model, like I said, it's trained on threads. So it's already trained on real-time data from threads. So I asked it, my favorite example is when I asked it what Leo was, what INLEO is, it gave like a really good answer of what, let me see if I can pull it up too. It gave a really good answer of what INLEO actually is from, and the reason why it's interesting is like you can Google what is INLEO and it'll tell you, oh, it's like a social platform that has its own token, whatever. But when you ask Leo AI, um, when you ask Leo AI what it is, it gives you an answer from the perspective of a community member because it's basically reading all of your guys' threads and that's how it learns. So it almost is like asking one of you guys what is INLEO, and you'll give a very different answer than asking Google what is INLEO. Um, so it's super interesting. I'm gonna have to search for this thread. I'll use the brand new search function to find it while I talk. Um, and also, I was thinking of a good name for Leo AI. I don't know what we'll call it, but maybe we'll call it like Mufasa or something.
I was actually gonna say Simba, so
Simba Mufasa, yeah. We could come up with a good name. We got to push the marketing out when this is live because I have not seen it. I have not seen it. I have not seen AI integrated in any actual cool ways when it comes to blockchain yet. Not in the way that we've got it in my and obviously I have a biased opinion, but I don't really think I've seen a cool killer use case of AI yet.
I just want people to look at the audience right now. Do you see all the yellow ones? If you want your yellow background, just send me a DM on Discord. You will have to ask for a friend request first because I had to shut down the open DMs because I wasn't getting anything done just for replying because I had to reply to a lot of people. But send a friend request and then ask me for your background and I will give it to you so you can join the Lion Cabal.
All right, so yeah, and definitely join the Lion Cabal. We've every space that we've done recently, like the chain chatters and stuff, people have made positive comments about it, like, oh, it's so cool to see all you guys with the yellow background. So definitely reach out to Eric and join that. I think it's a super simple thing that you can do that kind of creates it gives us a much bigger presence on X. It makes us seem much larger by having that because we seem a lot more coordinated. But I pulled up the thread and I shared it in a threadcast. So I'll just read it off for you guys too. I was curious what Leo AI thought of Leo. I asked it to review the threads created in November 2023 and tell me what it thought Leo was. So it said Leo in its various forms is more than just a cryptocurrency or a financial asset. It's a part of people's lives, integrating with their hobbies, aspirations, and personal achievements. The discussions around Leo Power, participation in events like LPUD, and its integration with other platforms and initiatives showcase a vibrant and dynamic community. Leo's presence in personal stories further adds a human touch to what might otherwise be seen as just another digital token. As Leo continues to evolve, it will be interesting to see how its journey unfolds within this engaged and diverse community. So, like I said, it's almost like asking what one of you guys, it's like asking one of you guys, what is Leo? It's not like going to Google and being like, what is Leo? And it'll just give you some dry answer. So this is like a cool use case of Leo AI where it's trained on threads so that when you ask it questions, it's not pulling from some like bland, raw, boring database. It's pulling from real conversations that you guys are having. So super interesting. Like I said, this was when I asked it this question and got this answer, I got really excited about what we're building with the AI front. So, we are continuing to grow in a lot of ways. So I'm very excited. I'm glad you like the dashboard, Sammy Hive. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it looks. It looks fantastic. Simba is a great name for Leo AI. Yeah, maybe we'll go with Eric's suggestion of Simba.
Or maybe to avoid any copyrighted issues, we could call it Kimba.
Kimba.
Which I think that's the name of another lion from the 70s, but I doubt the IP holders will care or even know until we are huge and we can fight them off in court.
Um, Ahmad Manga said, how long does it take for Leo AI to integrate 1 day worth of blockchain data? It only takes, so for threads, and it's not doing blog posts yet. We're just training it on threads and making our tweaks now before we start integrating blog posts and other data, because we're going to integrate blog posts and like rewards data, um, you know, following data. Like there's a lot of data that you can pull from the Hive blockchain. So we're going to be integrating a lot of different pieces of that data, but right now it's just threads. So for threads, it takes probably like 10 minutes and it's in real time. So it's just constantly scraping. So I guess I wouldn't really even put a time on it. I would just say that it's constantly scraping the new threads. So like if you just post a thread though, like within the last few seconds, and then you ask Leo AI about it won't know what that thread, like it won't have seen it yet. So that's why I said 10 minutes. It's probably going to have some little lag time between when it's actually trained on a piece of, thread data, and when you can start asking it questions about that data. So it is essentially in real time, though. It's not like when ChatGPT came out, it only went up to like 2017 or whatever. So it's not like that. It's like you can ask it about threads from yesterday or even today, but it may not know threads in the last couple minutes or couple hours. Just depending on a bunch of different factors. Simbot. I like that. Addicted. Simbot. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a good name, but for now it's just called Leo AI.
Yeah. Andersinho is question, will Leo Finance Witness keep the HBD savings APR at 20%? We have been very vocal about this. We support the 20% in order for HBD to keep being a solid use case. We are going to continue to signal 20%.
Yeah, I'm and you can go to the Discord general chat and for the, INLEO Discord. I was talking with Addicted a little bit about it, but there's a huge lack of understanding when it comes to economics. I think just in the crypto space, but also on Hive. You know, in a bear market, which we're in right now, Hive is not, it's at 30 cents. You want to increase the interest rate. You want to make it more attractive to be in the platform, in the ecosystem. And to do that, a big way is to increase the interest rate, which is actually what we're doing with Leo.voter. Like now we're adding the tiers because, we're at kind of like a low, like it's time to increase the amount of delegations. And then, maybe when we reach some sort of peak, like when we hit 10 million, we'll kind of like pull back a little bit and you won't be able to earn 22%. You'll be able to earn 16% or 18%. Like you want to be when it comes to economics, you want to be flexible. So you want to be almost more like a rubber band, rather than a stick. So it's like, being you know, being just a flat, like, okay, nothing's going to change type of person is not how you want to be. So, we'll signal 20%, in this bear market. And I think that's extremely important. And then when the bull market comes, I think that's time for you to kind of take a look at things like, and maybe we hit the bull market and the debt ratio starts to drop and then you don't even change anything because you just don't know. And that's when it comes to economics, you want to be flexible. So you want to read the current situation and change in real time. So yeah, Taskmaster said interest rate is for capital flow. The dropping of the interest rate means that people think there's too much money. It's absurd. Yeah, it's like, and that's why changing the HPD interest rate makes no sense, because it's like the amount of HPD debt has not been increasing. It's like 11 million right now if you exclude the DHF. Dal's created hbdstats.com, I think is the URL. And you can view this in real time. But the HBD debt is not increasing despite there being like a very large amount in the HBD savings. So clearly there is more room to grow. That's like 7% debt ratio. There's plenty more room to grow. So lowering the APR now makes literally no sense. It's like completely counterlogical to what the current economic situation looks like. Edicted and I both said we would expect to see the Hive price drop significantly if the HBD interest rate drops. And I obviously am a big holder of Hive. I want it to go up in price. That's why I'm so adamant about witnesses like really getting their shit together and realizing that making a change just by the seat of your pants for no, like, I can guarantee you that there's not a single witness who's signaling for lower APR is looking at any actual piece of data that suggests that they should lower the APR. I can guarantee that. So they're just all deciding, hey, let's lower the APR. Like you know what I mean? It's kind of like that funny meme of Jerome Powell like sitting. It's like the kid sitting at the computer and like, what do you want the interest rate to be today? And you just type it in, and we're good to go. Like there's no logic to it. So I don't know. I'd like to see more discussion and more actual logic applied to the HBD interest rate, because I want to see Hive grow. I want to see the Hive price go up. I think pretty much everybody here wants that. I'd like to say that 99% of people on Hive probably want that. We'll all be earning more rewards in terms of dollar value. We'll be attracting more people because you guys all know in the bull market, more people flow in. Taskmaster said there's a great chance that none of them have the first clue about how money actually works. Yeah, I mean, Taskmaster is probably the most well-versed person in money in this whole chat room right now. And I definitely agree with that. Like it'd be different if people were like, okay, well, we're looking at these metrics and like the debt ratio continues to climb. It's growing by like 1% a day. We really need to address this. But that's not happening. The debt ratio is decreasing. So, or it's staying flat. Like it's really mind blowing. And I'd like to see more of a data driven approach to that. And the Leo Witness as a public service announcement. The Leo Witness is like number 27, I think, right now on the witness list. When you look at the top 20 witnesses, I'd say that about half of them, maybe more, are no longer active on Hive or no longer actively building anything on Hive. So they're just kind of grandfathered in. A lot of that has to do with the hostile takeover. So if you go back to, when Steam became Hive, these witnesses got huge support from the community, which was a good thing, in an attempt to prevent Justin Sun from taking over. But that also means that these witnesses got grandfathered in with this massive amount of Hive power supporting them. It's like 60 million or something to get into the top 20. So I really think a campaign needs to be done across, and not by us, but by the entire Hive community, to like really relook at who you're voting for your witnesses. And I'm not just saying this because I think Leo should be a top 20 witness. And I do think that we should be a top 20 witness based on the things that we do. But I think that there's a lot of people in like the top 40, like from 20 to 40, that deserve to be in the top 20. much more significantly than a lot of the people that are currently in the top 20. They're people that are building every single day, that are here every single day, that if you, tag them or look for them, you can find them on Hive every single day, posting a thread, posting a blog post, posting a comment, upvoting, holding Hive power, you know, it's just crazy to me when you look at the top 20 and compare it to like the top 40 and you see the difference in activity. And especially when you see a lot of the top 20 just powering down and selling, because I think they're getting like $3,000 or $4,000 a month worth of Hive for being a top 20 witness. So, I've always been very anti-politics when it comes to Hive, which is why, you don't see a lot of campaigning for this stuff. Eric is much more politically correct than I am. I'm a very polarizing person when it comes to Hive. A lot of people don't like me. So I think that's a big reason we're not in the top 20. But like I said, a lot of people are just grandfathered in. So I think a campaign should be done to really relook at the witnesses and say, our top 20 witnesses should be here on a daily basis, and they should be actively building something that benefits the whole blockchain. And if they are not doing that, then we should really change something. Um, we should really change something. So that's my rant about witnesses.
No, yeah, I mean, it all makes sense. There's been some town halls where we have spoken about governance, and there are some mixed opinions on what's important for the blockchain in terms of deciding who should be a top 20. And some people think that, oh, it should be the most capable witnesses that can uh, uh, provide solutions for when we need them. And some others, like myself, think that, well, they should be well versed in tech, but they should also be doing something related to the ecosystem. It's all about how you perceive who should be at the top, validating the blogs and all of that. It's all like people will signal whoever they want to signal. If you want to be represented by someone who is actively building, has the tech knowledge, and is signaling 20% for the interest rate, then you can vote. There are plenty of witnesses who fit that criteria. Of course, the Leo Finance witness fits that criteria, but in the end, it's all about uh, who do you want to be representing you? Like, this is just like in the government where you vote for that person who is going to represent your state. It's the same here. Who is going to represent your interests, then vote for those people. And it's pretty easy. You just have to go to the governance section of the couple of front ends that support that, and you can just decide. But in the meantime, just let people know, hey, I support this, I support that, I'm voting for these witnesses because of these reasons, and we should be good.
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to go to the town halls every month. I like to listen in on them um, to see what you guys are talking about and see what the Hive community really thinks. And I also think a big, metric should be how many of the top 20 witnesses are actually going to the town halls every month. How many, it's kind of like imagine a local town, you know, is the politician just sitting up in their castle? Or, when the people gather in the square, in the town square, are those politicians coming down and sitting in the audience and listening to, what people are concerned about and things related to what people actually care about. So there's two varied, and make no mistake that top 20 witnesses are essentially just politicians. They should have to campaign to, remain in the top 20. And if they're not doing what they, said that they would when they campaigned, they should be kicked out. But it's kind of interesting how Hive in some ways is a microcosm of the real world, where you've got politicians that are grandfathered in, and they're not at risk of losing their position, so they know that they can kind of get away with whatever they want. um so yeah, Hive is an interesting kind of, it's an interesting like snow globe where we can see like a reflection of the real world taking place within Hive. And I think that we all can agree that in the real world, we wish that politicians weren't in office till they're 85 and can barely walk. In the real world, we'd like to see more youth and people that represent the actual population in positions of power. So very similar to that, I think your positions of power on Hive should be people that are actually using Hive, actually building on Hive actively, and actually listening to you guys. Like, it's pretty obvious to me that the majority of the community is behind keeping the interest rates at 20% for HBD. Yet most, like not most, but a good amount of the top 20 are signaling for lower HBD interest rates without even talking to you guys. So that's just another metric. I mean, it's really wild. Really wild. So
Yeah, definitely. And I'm seeing another question here. Oh, but I think we already spoke about everything related to ads. Um, what else? I don't see any more questions. Yeah, I think we are covered in terms of questions. Morty says that the AI should be called Chat Paw or Paw AI.
mm.
A madman is saying, wouldn't training Leo AI on our content makes it prone to error, as the majority of us is not, and he just left 3 dots. I don't know. Is Leo AI training scraping other kind of data or only the threads data?
That's a good question, actually. The way that AI works, and this is the way that ChatGPT works, is that it creates a vector space of information. Um, so what you have is, and what you have is basically you can train the AI on a very narrow amount of data, or you can take a general AI and add in a vector space for narrow data, which is what we've done. So Leo AI is actually trained on it actually uses ChatGPT. So it's trained on, you could actually think of it, if you guys use, I know a lot of you probably use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT has released the what's their name for it? The GPT agents. Or are they just calling them GPTs now? Um Custom GPTs. They came up with a name for them, I thought. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. The custom GPTs that you can basically make now. There's like
Yeah.
Tutor GPT, Kayak GPT. You know what I mean? So like, for example, like the Kayak, which is like for booking hotels and flights and stuff. Kayak GPT is trained on Kayak data, which is a travel website where you can do flights, hotels, and stuff. But it's also still trained on like basic ChatGPT information. So it's got a vector space for the narrow data, but it still has like the normal vector space for like broad information. So no, it's not just trained on the narrow threads. It's not like the only thing it's ever seen as a thread. It has plugins, Brando. Yeah. So it's very similar to like a plugin. So like it's still trained on all the basic data of a normal chat GPT. So if you ask it, what was the score of the Knicks game yesterday, it'll tell you. But it's also trained on the narrow vector space of Leo threads. So if you ask it what you can say, what was the score of the Knicks game yesterday, and it'll tell you because it's tapped into Google. But if you ask it, what are people on threads saying about the Knicks game yesterday, it'll give you a very different answer. It'll scrape everything it heard from threads related to the word Knicks, and then it'll give you an answer. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So I think so right now the users control how the Leo AI perceives an event. Like the event will still happen and it will still be a fact of what happened with the event, but how it's perceived is what it's going to change.
Essentially, yeah. But like if you were like let's say that like a bunch of people on threads were to give like say that the score was, 12-5. Um, and the score was, and I'm just giving completely random numbers. And the score was actually, 30-5. But a bunch of people like coordinated together to try to trick the AI. The AI would answer, and I've asked it similar questions. The AI would answer, and it would basically say, well, Google tells me that the score was 30-5, but people on Leo threads are claiming that the score is 12-5. I don't, looking at it, do you want me to cross-reference with the official, Nick's website, for example? So it is trained on your data, but it is also trained on other data. So you can't trick it into thinking certain things that aren't real, essentially, is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So there is no way for it to be biased. So it will have like the concrete or the hard data, and it will also read the opinions and then feed you or return what you're asking it, but you won't be able to convince the AI that the sky is green, no matter if everyone on threads says the sky is green, basically.
Right. Right. It's still knowledgeable in and of itself. Kind of like a human being. Like if you grow up your whole life and the sky's blue, and then someone says the sky's green, you're like, no, that's not the. I've seen a lot to say otherwise. So so it kind of works like that. But even with ChatGPT, it the questions, the prompts that you use, the questions that you ask it are almost as important, maybe even more important than the actual answers that it gives you, because you can say, I want you to act like you're a high school bully and answer, what do you think of my hairstyle? And it could give you, especially if you use Grok, which is really fun, because they've taken out a lot of the filtering, it will give you a much different answer than if you say, I want you to pretend like you're my mother. How does my hair look? Like, you know what I mean? So you can do very much the same thing. You can say, I want you to tell me what you think Leo is from the perspective of someone who uses Leo. Or you could say, I want you to tell me what Leo is from the perspective of someone who hates Web3 and crypto. And like it'll give you two very different answers. But
Yeah,
it's trained on all the data from threads and all the information like from the internet.
yeah,
So
I
it's
think
it's it's
that's
very
awesome.
interesting how it works. There's a lot of, and we can't even, and same thing that happened with ChatGPT. You can't really even predict what people are actually going to use this thing for. It's kind of it evolves when people start to actually use it, and it also learns from prompts. So when you guys start asking it questions, it will actually learn from the questions you're asking it. That's like a whole other input, a whole other vector space, like I described, that's being added to the bot. So it's really interesting. Like we're taking this basic vector space of like you're trained on the entire internet. That's what normal chat GPT is. And we're adding a stack and we're saying you're trained on threads. Now we're adding another stack and you're trained on the prompts that people ask you. And now you can add another stack. You can say, well, now you're also trained on the rewards that people earn on Hive. Add another stack. Now you're trained on blog posts from Hive. It's like we're creating a really cool stack for Leo AI.
Yeah,
Solomon,
just
yeah, the numbers are wrong for those. So there's a reason why all that stuff is grayed out, except for the Leo.voter section at the bottom.
yeah, and just to put things into perspective, there are many AI tokens that have a similar use case as Leo AI, and they are worth around 10 to 20 million dollars in market cap. So we have AI as one of the, I don't know, 18 features that we have in Leo. So that's how much of a potential there is for everything we're doing right now. And once we have some taskmaster saying boobs on Leo, uh, once we have the onboarding process ready, uh, I mean, I cannot really wait to see how much. I mean, after doing the correct marketing, we're so early, man.
Yeah, it's incredible the vision of Leo and how it's evolved over time, where we're really getting to a point where we've created this base layer everything app, and we can integrate all these really interesting things. So you see other crypto projects that, just have NFTs or just have AI. And like you said, they can be worth 10, 20, $30 million. Well, now take Leo, and it is the everything app, and it's got AI, and it also has NFTs, and it also has tokenized rewards pools. And it has threads, and it has blog posts, and it has premium and liquidity pools. Like we're trying to culminate all this value, and the entire idea is draw value into the Leo token economy. So if you're wondering how Leo AI adds value to the Leo token economy, which I think is a good question to ask about anything that we do, Leo AI is only accessible to people who are premium. So that's kind of like the most obvious thing, is that it's a use case for premium users. Another obvious thing is that it can help you create better content. It can help you for example, you can write a blog post and you can say, help me make changes to this blog post so that it is more SEO friendly. And it may suggest that you integrate some keywords or change your title or add a certain image. So it will not only encourage people to become premium, which obviously has a very, tangible and measurable impact on the Leo token price, but it will also actually improve your content, your ability to make threads, your ability to make blog posts, which in turn also improves the platform. So a lot of different ways that this kind of soaks in value to grow the ecosystem. And I think when we do anything, you should ask yourself, how does this impact the Leo token economy?
Yeah. And we are already at 422 comments on the threadcast, and it hasn't broken down.
It's very stable. We love to see it. Yeah, Taskmaster said, build the value for Leo Premium. That is essential. 100%. I want it to be like, and you're kind of the one that brought this up, Task, is like make it like Amazon Prime, where it's like there's so much value baked into it that if you use Amazon even a little bit, it doesn't make sense to not be a Prime member. Like, I order stuff a few times a week from Amazon, and it would make no sense for me to not be Prime, because I would save the money that I get in free shipping is more savings than what I would spend, otherwise on Prime. So it's like it's almost like Prime pays for itself in a way. Like, if you order more than a few things a week, like it's just a no-brainer. And then in addition, you get all the TV shows and the movies and, all the other stuff that comes with Prime. So, yeah, more and more and more. Yeah, more of everything. It's like, if you're not premium and you use Leo, you're going to look eventually and you're going to be like, well, I use this platform enough where I should be premium, because not only does it pay for itself, but I also get Leo AI, I get advanced view dashboard, I get, a check mark next to my username. I get, profile pictures with NFTs when we release the NFTs. I get to edit threads, I get to pin threads. Like there's so many features baked into it that if you're using the platform even a little, it's a no-brainer to be premium. So that's the goal. I kind of feel like we're already there. Like when I look at the premium features, and like, for example, like my premium expires, like all of your guys's does. And there might be like a 1-2 hour lag before I get premium again. And I'm like using the UI and I'm like, oh my God, the experience is completely different when you're not premium. So it's like you immediately want to get back on it. Especially like if you do threadcasts, because if you're premium, your threadcast gets a show. We got to actually add that to the list of features for premium. It's not even on there. But when you're premium, your threadcasts show at the top of the page to let people know you're in one. So if you're not premium, you don't have access to that. So it's like so many features that are already baked in, and there's plenty more on the way.
Yeah.
I feel naked without the premium membership, Taskmaster said. I feel the same way.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to find more questions, but oh yeah, I do have a piece of feedback from me, not from the threadcast. So it would be pretty cool to see on the dashboard, and I know this is a lot of cross-chain references and all of that, but maybe it's easy to do. But for example, in your dashboard, you can see who votes the most for you and who do you vote the most for in a pie chart kind of thing in general, and you can do it 7 days, 30 days, all time, something like that. So you know who actually supports you the most, and then you can cross that to who you support the most, and maybe oh, I'm slacking on supporting this person or this person, whatever. Uh, yeah, that probably could be a good thing for the dashboard.
Yeah, I just wrote that down. That's a good idea.
Yeah, there was this thing on Facebook. I haven't used that in a while, but where you can see the interactions that you've had with that person. So for example, I think I remember I mentioned this to you like 6 months ago. So that you could have like notes inside the UI for you storing your cache in your own computer's cache. And then you could put, oh, this person writes about this and this, or this person is a friend, or this person is a foe, whatever. But I mean that's pretty complicated to do. But maybe you can click on that person's profile, and it shows you the interactions that you've had in the past, uh, maybe for premium, so we don't have to scrape the whole blockchain all the time. But like to see a historical of how your interactions have been with a specific person.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I with the when we get the half SQL integrated, we'll be able to pull a lot of historical data that you can't really get elsewhere because for some reason nobody else has thought to integrate it. But it's super cool project.
Yeah,
I
and
think it
I
said,
think
"What
that's
is
it
Leo
for me.
Premium?" I don't know, but you have it. That's the important part.
Ejats is saying, will it be relevant to add languages to the UI to attract more people? I don't know. I think English is obviously the universal language right now. I have thought about, and we have this in the plans to translate the UI, but I don't know if people should be like, we are 1,100 people on threads right now. I don't know if it would be positive or negative to have different languages inside the general feed. I don't think so.
Yeah, I just think we're too small for segmenting. I think one of the problems that people run into is that they segment too quickly. Um, you need to like we're in the phase where we're so small that it's like we just need growth. Like it doesn't really matter, where the growth comes from. And if you guys are different language speakers, all you have to do is, use a certain hashtag and you guys can all find each other pretty easily. So um I don't really see when people have said that you should make like certain versions of the UI in other languages, I don't really see the point of that because you can easily use hashtags or you could create a community and all your threads and blog posts can go into that community page. And then now to find, other Chinese speakers, you just go to the Chinese community and then there you go. And you're all with each other. So and I have a lot of improvements planned on the roadmap for communities. So I think the use case for communities are going to just keep building.
Yeah. I mean, I think that should come more from the community than from the team. Like when you are ready or when you feel like you have enough people surrounding your own hobby, niche, language, whatever, like it will happen naturally. I don't think that's something that we should push.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It,
It would definitely need more activity from the community in a lot of different ways.
yeah. In terms of translating the I think that would be pretty easy to do it.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people just have plugins on your browser where you can translate any page on the internet. So, you know, but yeah, that's all I got. Do you see any other questions you want to tackle before we jump off? Been on for We've been on for almost 2 hours.
Yeah. I don't think I see more relevant questions actually. Uh, oh, this is actually pretty good. Will the questions and the interactions with the Leo AI, will that be on chain? Will that be on our servers? Where will that be?
It'll be in the actual AI model when you ask it prompts. So it adds it basically to the vector space that it has.
Nice. So there's no way that anyone can see that you're asking Simba AI, how can you be more handsome?
Yeah. No, yeah, there would be no way to similar to like ChatGPT, like you can't ask ChatGPT what did, Eric ask you yesterday? You know what I mean? So it's very
Yeah.
similar to that.
Yeah. But I do think that's all the questions, or at least I don't see any more questions,
Yeah,
actually.
one alpha said no hashtag would help me find more of my language speaking users because I am the only one here from my country. Maybe you should start onboarding more people from your country and then create the hashtag. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Which is what Eric was kind of alluding at too, is it's like we're building the tools, and I've said this many times, we're building the tools. It's up to you guys to use them. So um I saw one more question before we jump. IJats asked about changing the name of Threads because Meta obviously copied our name. Um, we used the Threads name almost a year, I think, before Meta came up with theirs. Um, so, you know, will we change the name? I'm not sure. But the platform is not called Threads. Like I think some of you guys thought we were gonna when we were talking about rebranding, and then you guys knew that the name Threads for Threads for short form. Um, so some of you guys thought, maybe we'll do like threads.io or threads.com or something as the name for INLEO. But we didn't go that route for a lot of different reasons because it's not just Threads. Threads is just a feature of the app. So, will we change the name? I don't know. If something better came along, then we would definitely consider it. But at the same time, being that it's just a feature and not the actual name of the platform, I'm not really too concerned.
Yeah, not at all. The brand is in Leo, and
Right.
one of the features is threads, the AI. I think we should actually name the communities something, uh, but I have no idea what. But yeah, um, like the
Yeah, I don't know.
polls is one of is another feature. So
Right.
threads is just one thing within the ecosystem.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, and two friendly announcements. Tomorrow is Chain Chatter at noon EST. We're having a couple of key opinion leaders, that's how they like to call them nowadays. We just call them influencers, but and tonight we have the sponsored space by INLEO, the breads space. It's at 8 p.m. EST. So go to his X profile, set a reminder, and yeah, the more that the more people show up, the more the algorithm spreads the space far and wide. So he's going to be mentioning in Leo quite a few times. There's going to be a few giveaways. So just by attending or listening to the space, you are helping in Leo get to more people.
Definitely. Yeah, Addicted said Leo community names are prides. Too easy. Yeah, I mean, we could do that, but at the same time, like X calls them communities, a lot of platforms, Facebook calls them what they call them Facebook groups. So it's like, you know, I don't think the name matters as much as the way that people use the thing. If that makes sense. That's what I was kind of getting at with threads too, is like, does the name threads actually matter, or does it matter that people know that it's short form content creation similar to X? Like and that's how you use it. So I guess the name thing is like And names to me are fluid. You guys know that. I mean, Leo has gone from Steam Leo to Leo Finance and now to INLEO. You know, it's, the name is less important than the platform and the culture that you build. But yeah, I think that's all we got. So go play with the dashboard. I'll drop that link again for you guys to check it out and um, update your delegation status. Like I said, you can update to um, staked and increase your tier, but like I said, we're still working on the back end. So the back end should be, I mean, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, definitely sometime this week. So the back end will go live very soon. But you can kind of get a head start and switch to stake now. And if you do it now, it'll apply as soon as that change goes into effect on the back end. So tell your friends, tell anybody who has a lot of Hive power. Our goal is to get to 5 million Hive power, like I said, in the near future, and then we'll kind of work our way from there to 10 million. And the goal with growing that Hive power is really because we've kickstarted this premium flywheel, and I want to see it continue to scale up. And one of the ways to scale it up is to grow the Hive power that we have at our disposal to reward all of you premium members. So definitely go tell your friends, anybody that has Hive power, that they can earn up to 22% APR now from Leo.voter.
There we go.
Sweet.
Spread it to your grandma, to your dog, to everyone that might be interested in Web3, and also to all of those who are not interested. Just convince them that this is the future.
100%. Just convince them.
All
Sweet.
right.
All right, we will see you guys tomorrow for Chain Chatter. Like Eric said, go check out Bread's space too. But that's all we got. We'll see you.
See you guys.